Welcome back, racers. Today we're going to be reviewing the Viper GTS. This is actually the second generation Viper, as the first one was strictly a roadster. The Dodge Viper concept car was created after a suggestion from Bob Lutz, who wanted to develop a modern take on the Shelby Cobra in the late 80s. By 1989, the concept car was unveiled at the North American Auto Show, and the reaction to the car was so positive that it was given the green light for production. The test chassis they used in developing the Viper used a V8 engine, but the production model was fitted with a V10 that was developed in collaboration with Lamborghini, who Chrysler owned at the time. Surprisingly, the now iconic headlamps in the first and second generation Viper were originally developed by General Electric for the BMW Z1. BMW rejected the lamps at General Electric's cost, and GE ended up giving the design away to Dodge for free, who built the front end of the Viper around them. Not everything with the Viper was positive, though. When it came to the exhaust, it had a true dual exhaust system which created an unpleasant engine noise, and the Generation 1 had side pipes which would burn the owners entering and exiting the vehicle. To keep the fuel efficiency of the vehicle, the Viper was geared high and would also force the vehicle from first into fourth under certain conditions. An up arrow would be displayed on the circle underneath the speedometer, as well as the check engine light and other information such as that. Being engineered as a performance vehicle, the Viper originally didn't have outside door handles or door locks. Air conditioning was also not added for the first couple of years, and even the second generation was missing cup holders. The Viper developed a reputation as a car that didn't handle well because it was also missing things such as traction control and stability control and even ABS or airbags. This wasn't necessarily true, though. The car actually handled extremely well, but it was accessible to a lot of people, and you could step into a Viper just by having enough money. So a lot of people ended up buying it and were overwhelmed by how analog it was. The original Viper had a 50-50 weight distribution, but this second generation, once it was released as a coupe, actually had more of the weight to the rear than in the front, despite the engine being in front of the driver. Let's take a look at how this car handled on our lap. Even though the GTS coupe looks very similar to the Roadster, over 90% of the vehicle has been changed. The track focus design stayed part of the equation, though, and the bubbles above the driver and passenger area were exaggerated to accommodate for racing helmets. Even though the Dodge Viper has been a staple in Gran Turismo since the beginning, it wasn't really on my radar just because I've never really been a huge fan of Chrysler. After getting a little seat time, I'm very impressed with the way the car handles. It's got a great balance and has plenty of power to get it out of the corners. I don't think anyone would have expected it to do as well as it did. The car does burn through fuel pretty quickly. With Fuel Map 1 and the 5 times rate, you'd want to pit after lap 3. But it's got plenty of power, so if you wanted to ease off on the fuel mixture and drop it into Fuel Map 6, you should still have plenty of power to spare. The tire wear, on the other hand, was very gentle. Part of that's to do with the balance. It was at 10% wear in the front and about 20% wear in the rear. This, of course, seems to be a trend with the vehicles we're reviewing more recently, so I think it has more to do with the update than with the cars that we're seeing. This review isn't so much about purchasing the car, because you're going to need to own this car to complete extra menu number 5, so it's more about whether or not you want to drive it. And it's actually a great car to drive, so I highly recommend building one up and just having a good time with it. You can find it in both Brand Central and the used car lot. So in Brand Central it's $120,000, and in the used cars you might save $15,000 or so. So it's kind of worth buying it new, in my opinion. I'll have the setup at the end of the video. If you've enjoyed this so far, please like and subscribe for more content. The lap we ended up with was 1 minute 52 seconds, .619, putting it in 5th place behind the engine swap Fairlady Z and ahead of the McLaren F1, which is much more expensive. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.